Hi guys, welcome to Let's Play the Path ending discussion video. I've broken down this video into 3 different sections. First one being Rose discussion, second one Ginger, and thirdly Girl in the White. And depending on how long this actually goes on will determine whether you will see this reflected in only a single video, or I might have to do the last one in I might have to do the last one, the Girl in the White, in a separate video, most likely. But since I made this really nifty little slideshow for you guys, that's kind of getting ahead of me, I guess I'll just jump right into Rose. And so basically, I'm going to start my slideshow, which I thought would be kind of interesting for you guys to look at the key moments or key things that I kind of picked up on that I thought would be important to that person's story or personality, and it also kind of helps keep track of my thoughts as well. So if you see me pausing it for a moment or so, it's just because I'm pausing my slideshow. No worries. So Rose, she's 11 years old, and as her bio states, she's very mature, and I could see that reflected early on by some of the comments that she makes, such as this one right here: to be in the mist, to be missed, to be missed, to miss is to be. So and we also find out early on that she loves animals, and she highly values life. She's a really gentle person. She's also very mature. You know, by statements such as these: the cycle of life and death knows no beginning and no end. And it's almost a little bit, as her bio states, disconcerting, because she is only 11, and for somebody to say such wise and insightful comments at her age is a little bit unsettling. You wonder if that's necessarily normal. And again, going to the gentle aspect of her personality, the way that I see Rose is kind of how I see Scarlet, in the way that they have 2 separate sides that the game is trying to really get you to see. Oh, this statement right here: the little thing fell out of the nest. Was it trying to fly? If I had wings, I'd probably try that too. And that's a reference to being up, away from the ground, away from Earth, up into the air, which is something that you see reflected a lot in various things. And then spinning as well, such as there. In that statement, of the record spinning around and around and around, and we see that during her encounter. Gonna pause that for just a moment, 'cause it's getting a little too far ahead of me. A couple things I wanted to focus on before we move on. Right, so the comparison to Scarlet, meaning that it seems to me that the game is focusing on 2 different sides of a person's personality. For Scarlet, the one aspect was that she was very orderly and cleanly, but then the other aspect of her was kind of more, not so much a like an exterior habit type personality thing, but more like part of their being and part of their soul, if you want to go that far and maybe put it that way. And that was that she had a huge passion for music and the arts. And for Rose, I see kind of a similar structure of what they're trying to present to us. And the one side is that she loves animals and she's extremely gentle and she values life. And then the other aspect is that she's very daydreamy. She comes off as distant or detached even, which I can go into a little bit further a little bit later. This statement, I thought that it was interesting. She's referring to the jungle gym. I'm too heavy or too weak. Will I ever get up? It's another reference to being up. The balloon. I feel as light as air. I may fly away any minute now. Up in the air. And that's the reason why I came up with the word detached. She seems detached from the world. That head up in the clouds type of thing going on. Deep inside, everybody's a dream. Not really too in touch with reality is what I'm really feeling here. And her, obviously, her location for the encounter was the Misty Lake. Really can't say too much about that. I couldn't really come up with much. I did notice, however, that was it just me, or does the lake look really stagnant and putrid and really like, hello clouds, welcome on Earth? And clouds are something that are up in the air. Clouds, I mean, if you want to get into scientific means, I guess they might be part of what, I don't know, I'm not a meteorologist, but part of Earth. But clouds aren't a part of Earth. They're something that are detached, and they kind of hover overhead. They don't really concern themselves with the matters of Earth. If this balloon did not have a string, it would simply float away. I'm pausing it because that's important. And when I was going through my old videos to kind of just refresh it in my mind and gather my thoughts, I thought that this was a perfect statement to basically summarize Rose as a person. She's a balloon, except she doesn't have a string. Since she doesn't have a string, which would be an anchor, like something that's really anchoring her down to reality, down to Earth, to the world, she simply floats away. And that's really the only thing that I can come up with that that happened, that you'll see shortly. Balloon did not have a string, it would simply float away because her head is up in the clouds and she has nothing to bring her back down to Earth. Also, I made a statement about kind of hypothesizing something about black and white because some of the statements she made were in the font color was white, but after I went back I saw that white was used as a font color for some of the other comments that other girls made, so it's not unique to Rose. So the mist, I think, is a reflection of that, again, that daydreaminess. I just think that a lot of the symbols are kind of repetitious to each other. That person, that man, figure, form, some type of ethereal thing, I don't really know, but there she is, you know, kind of floating away. And she begins spinning. You can't really tell in the snapshots that I have here, but she begins spinning around, which is kind of interesting. What I did piece together is that a lot of her imagery is of water, raining. Here we have a bathroom, bathtub. Her encounter was on the lake. So I mean, I see that that this is water. Again, water when the room fills with water and you have to go under the water. I was thinking about that, and I didn't really have too much time to dwell on it, but what I did kind of come up with, I mean, you guys can, you know, I'm just making note of the facts, what I think is important, and then you can kind of draw conclusions. I basically want to point out all the important images and symbolism and things that are being referenced, and then people can make their own conclusions based off of them. But my conclusion about the water is possibly that water is shapeless and it has no form. It'll basically fit the shape of any container. And, you know, it can take the form of ice cubes, and it can take the form of liquid, it can take the form of gas, and then just completely evaporate or just kind of dissipate. And that kind of sounds kind of close to Rose, because Rose is kind of out there. She doesn't, I don't know. I'm not really sure how to put it, but it just kind of reflects on that she's distant and kind of doesn't seem like she belongs. Alright, there's the phrase that I've kind of been looking for. She doesn't really seem like she belongs, which is kind of a weird statement to make, but anyway, we're going to continue on. She also seems very optimistic, and here in her ending room we have a bunch of furniture that's flailing about madly. I'm going to pause it here because I wanted to go into this a little bit. I know it's got to mean something. I know that's a really huge theme here is the swirling up around in the air. And the first thing that I thought of when I was pondering this idea of things being up in the air and being blown around in a torrent was, maybe if some of you are literature buffs out there like me, they're familiar with a work called Dante's Inferno. It's very popular. And if they were, then they would know that one of the levels that is talked about in that book is the first one. And for a little bit of background, you guys, Dante's Inferno is written by an Italian, I believe, man named Dante Alighieri, and it was his idea of what hell would be like, according to his. Anyway, and depending on the level of one's crimes or sins or whatnot, they would be condemned to a certain level. Certain people went to certain levels, and their punishment there was different depending on what they had done. And the first level was, I believe it's called the Lustful or something like that. Anyway, what was going on there was a big torrent, and everybody's souls that were stuck in that level were being blown around in a whirlwind, completely being thrashed by this this torrent, this gale of wind that was constantly being blown around. And the symbolism there was that these people did not, I read the notes on it, some like cliff note, footnote type things, And the idea was that these people let themselves in life be thrashed about by their emotions. They were not in control of their own emotions, which I guess was symbolized by the wind. So in death, their punishment was to be eternally thrown about in the wind of their own, emotions that they weren't able to control or whatnot. So that was the first thing that I thought about. Sorry if that was a bit lengthy, but I wonder if this has a little bit of truth here as well, because the similarity is really unmistakable. And I'm going to go ahead and unpause it so we can continue on. That, I thought it was hair or string or something like that, but now it just occurs to me that that's supposed to be wind. It's supposed to it's just the style of the artistry here, and kind of some disturbing images. And again, it really just occurs to me that it's saying that she let herself get drift too far off. That's supposed to be the man, the ethereal man. I don't know what he is, but to really pin it down and say what that entity is, I can't do it. I just can't. It has to be something, but I really think that her ending here just kind of reinforces that what happened was that she drifted off too much. And I'm kind of hesitant to use this word, but if I explain it properly, maybe it'll be appropriate. And that word is that she was so detached from reality that she let me ponder. Alright, I don't want you guys to freak out when I use this word, because you have to think about it. I don't really mean it in the sense that it's usually taken now, but so detached and out of touch with reality, and just so her mind is just so clouded that it kind of reaches the point of being not all there, kind of insane. Alright, that's what I want to say. Kind of insane, but not the maniacal, like laughing his head off type of insane. I mean the insane type of person that has their own world going on. They have their own world, and that's what I think that she reached the peak of in the encounter. So I think my slideshow might be almost over, which is good because I'm almost done talking. One thing that I did want to say though is, although she's really detached to the point of maybe possibly being kind of, maybe a little bit crazy, insane, and I don't mean crazy again in the maniacal, person who just believes in absolutely absurd things, but she does, to me, appear to be a light in the world, because she's just, when I said that she didn't seem to belong here, that's kind of what I'm getting at. She seems way too kind and gentle to really be a part of the world, which is not all that kind and gentle, as she will find out, and as Ruby would probably tell her. So when I was running through the forest, I noticed that it was really dark, surprisingly dark. I expected the forest to be a lot brighter for her, because she seemed like a bright, optimistic, a gentle, loving, kind person, so I expected her forest to be very bright, and it wasn't. It was really dark. It was darker than some of the other sisters. And when I was kind of watching myself run around, it occurred to me that I would say that she is kind of a symbol of light in a dark forest, meaning a dark world. So that's just another kind of conclusionary statement that I've come to, and I think that this is the end of my slideshow, so nope, not quite. Not sure what the hell this is. What is this? I don't know what this is. I stared at it for a long time. You can kind of tell that there's like maybe some hands right here. I don't really know what that's supposed to be. And again, just images of Rose being blown around. Maybe blown around by her own lack of anchoring to the world. So, anyways, I just wanted to wrap up this portion of the video now with Rose by saying that this one was by far the most complicated to express, I guess. Also to interpret. I think the other ones were a lot kind of had more to go off of, but this one had a feeling of being much, much more abstract, and that being such, it's a lot harder to really pin down and say it in words and get you guys to kind of understand where I'm coming from. So I think I pointed out all the important parts, so you guys are absolutely free to come up with your own conclusions about maybe you think something more concrete happened or whatnot. So I hope that you've enjoyed this, and let's move on to Ginger now.